Hello and welcome. You know, I have a soft spot in my heart for mountain bikes, especially the old ones. And I'm talking the old 26ers. In fact, the oldest bike I have, by which I mean how long I've owned it, not the age of the bike, is my 1994 LL Bean Approach, about which I have blogged before. I bought that new back in the day, and it's basically just a re-stickered Specialized Hardrock, and it's been a lot of fun over the years. Well, I decided this winter I was going to take it down to the bare frame and rebuild it. I did run into a problem. The plastic cup on the drive side of the bottom bracket disintegrated the moment I put any pressure on it with my Park Tool bottom bracket tool. I mean, plastic. Who thought that was a good idea back in the day? What did they do? Save 5 cents per unit or something? Anyway, that bike is probably going to end up at my local bike shop, and I really do hope that they can salvage it, because while I try not to get too attached to things, I do have a certain sentimental attachment to this bike, having had it 27 years. In the meantime, I bought the bike that you're looking at right now for a whopping $65. It's a 1999 Specialized Hardrock, which I was able to identify with the paint scheme. And this bike, from 10 feet away, looks gorgeous. I mean, I love this metallic ruby red paint job on it. It's really nice. But when you get up close, as you'll see shortly, it has it's been around the block a few times, let's put it that way. So my short-term plan is to take this bike and refurbish it, not necessarily restore it yet. I'm going to clean it and polish the paint, try to keep things from getting any worse, and update a few of the systems. That said, I do have longer range plans for it. We'll get to that in another video. But today, let's take a close look at this bike. One of the first things which I noticed is that the bike has mismatched rims. The front rim is a black painted Alex rim, and the rear is a silver or aluminized Weinmann. They're both 26-inch wheels, and they both have 26-inch Specialized Hardrock tires, which is kind of interesting. Problem with the back wheel, or tire actually, is that there are several spots on it where the center lugs have been worn almost bald. So I don't know if somebody was practicing skids on tar with this bike or what, but the rear tire is not salvageable. I'll end up using the front tire on something else, I'm sure. I save these parts for my outreach ministry, and sooner or later, I use them. Speaking of the rear, the cassette is a Shimano HG CS20-7 with a 12 to 28 tooth range. And as you can see from its condition and that of the chain, they're a little bit rusty. This bike spent more than a bit of time outdoors, unfortunately. Moving forward, the front derailleur is a Shimano, but there's no obvious model designation. The crankset consists of a riveted 3 chainring group with 175 millimeter long crank arms with a Specialized S on them, and the pedals are old steel bear traps that have seen better days. When I first got the bike home, there was a little bit of that light turquoise corrosion along the top of the seat tube, which generally indicates that the seat tube has become seized due to an aluminum seat tube and a steel frame. Luckily, a couple shots of penetrating oil and some quote-unquote friendly persuasion with a rubber mallet get things moving again. The saddle needs to be replaced because the upholstery is ripped, and being foam and outdoors for so long, it got soaked and has acquired a really bad aroma. Brakes front and rear are linear pull with some fairly substantial, apparently forged arms. One of them, however, has gone AWOL. There's an odd one on the front, and because I'm a little bit OCD, I'll admit it, I'm going to replace the brakes front and rear so that they all match. And I will keep an eye out for some age-appropriate ones. But in the short term, I've got a set of wakes that I can use. I want to point out something kind of interesting to you here. Up front, we've got an A headset. A headset was the first widely distributed threadless steerotube setup. And this was put out by Diacomp, which eventually became Cane Creek. Now, you may have heard of Cane Creek. They tend to dabble a wee bit, and yes, those are air quotes, in bicycle parts, including headsets. It's interesting to me that the A headset word has become synonymous with threadless headsets. Kind of like Kleenex was originally a brand name, but now it means any kind of facial tissue. Up front, we've got a pretty narrow, although standard for the time, aluminum handlebar. The brake levers are all alloy, and the Sram Grip Shifters still work. Now, while the chain does work, despite its kind of decrepit, rusty appearance, it's pretty stiff and clunky, and honestly, it's on the short list for replacement. As I said earlier, the paint has seen better days. The worst of it seems to be on the front of the seat tube, the drive side chainstay, and oddly, the drive side seat stay. I'm not sure how that got chipped up so badly, but there you go. You know, I think this bike is going to be a ton of fun, both to build and to ride, because I still like riding the old rigid bikes. You call me a Luddite or whatever, but, you know, there we go. I like them. And my plan for this bike is to rebuild it and replace some of the components with updated versions in such a way that it still maintains the visual cues that tell you that this is an old bike. Because there's nothing wrong with old. Trust me, I'm 60. I have very strong feelings on that subject. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not considered doing so. Below left is a link to a playlist for the LL Bean approach, which featured at the beginning of this video. And below right is a link to another video, which I think you'll enjoy. And as always, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate that. Goodbye and have a great day.